Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I thought that we would start the weekend off, happy Friday. Happy Friday, by the way. I thought that we would start the weekend off with reading some meditations. So let's get into it, shall we? All right, let's look and see what the meditations say for today. It is October 3rd. Happy October 3rd. Let's see what the meditation is in the language of letting go. I don't believe that I don't think I did a video. No, I didn't do a video for October 2nd. So we have October 2nd and October 3rd in both of the books to look at. October 2nd, coping with families. Oh, that might be a good one. And October 3rd, getting through the discomfort. Okay, those might both be good. Let's look at Journey to the Heart really quick. October 2nd and October 3rd in here. So I think the last time I read two meditations. October 2nd, Trust the Unknown. And October 3rd, Finish Unfinished Business. You know what? Maybe let's read from Journey to the Heart today. I like these meditations. Okay. If we get done with these quickly, then I will save the language of letting go, and we'll get into those as well. October 2nd, Trust the Unknown. Look. See how much you've changed. See the difference in your perspective. Remember all those years you were so fearful, trying to peek ahead, trying to see what the future held? Remember how upset you got, how uncertain and abandoned you felt because you didn't know the plan? Now life has taken you to a new place for you, but a place that is ancient. All along, you were not supposed to be getting the answers about what the future held. You were supposed to be learning the magical way of trust and inner guidance, learning to feel your way through, trusting and committing to your vision, your energy, your purpose, your place, each day and moment along the way. You were supposed to be learning to allow the universe to magically unfold and trust that it would. You have been learning this lesson. You have been learning it well. See how you delight in life's magic now, the surprises, the not knowing, the absolute trust in the universe to bring you your answers, manifest your visions, and help you when you can't quite see. See how much you cherish your relationship to the universe, a relationship so much broader and more encompassing, so much more vital than you could ever before imagine. See how joyfully you walk your path, enjoying all the sights, opening your heart to loved ones and strangers. See how benevolent it really is when you are not able to see ahead. Not knowing has taught you about life's magic. It has connected you to yourself and to the universe. It has connected you to God. Not knowing has taught you to know more than you could ever imagine. Interesting meditation today, I think. You know, I think back on my life, and I think it's a control mechanism in our lives to want to kind of know the outcome to how things are going to go. I think, obviously, as a person in recovery, as an addict and alcoholic, that control is something that's very important to us. And it's obviously something that we're not very good at control whatsoever. And so then when we get sober, it's a lot about knowing and, you know, scripting outcomes. If you've ever been somebody that you lay awake in bed and you think about a conversation you want to have with somebody and you're literally scripting the conversation, not just what you'll say, but what they'll say. And you go through this entire conversation of, and if they say this, and this is what I'm going to say, and if they say that, and this is what I say. I did that for years. I would play worst case scenario in my head about any kind of outcome that could happen, whether it was a financial outcome, a bill that I owed, how was I ever going to come up with the money for this, or what if this happened, or what if that happened. But I never played best case scenario. I never played like best case scenario of how things could turn out. That would be wonderful. What I learned over time was that many of those conversations that I scripted in my head to go a certain way, either number one, they never even happened. I never even had the opportunity to say what I wanted to or needed to say to somebody. I never even had that conversation. The conversation never came up. Or if it did, and I happened to see that person months or years down the road, I didn't bring up the conversation. I didn't need to have it anymore. So there was no point in me spinning my wheels to script this conversation in my head. It was a waste of time. There was no way that I was going to ever be able to control the outcome of that conversation. And many times that conversation never even happened. And when it did happen, it never happened the way that I thought it was going to go, you know? And also looking at worst case scenarios, just, it makes me think of all of the worst outcomes that could possibly happen in my life. And in total honesty, at 53 years old, when I look back on my life, the worst things that have happened to me in my life were things that I never even worst case scenarioed. They were never even, the things that have fundamentally changed me as a person that were some of the worst things that I went through in my life were things that I never even could have thought up. They were never things that I ever thought were ever imaginable, that were ever even going to happen. So why instead was I not playing best case scenario? Why instead was I not saying, today is going to be a great day. Today I'm going to be relaxed. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy it. Why was I always taking the pessimistic route? Why was I always taking the negative route? Why was I always looking at things from a negative point of view, or spending time trying to control every outcome in my life, when what I really realized was that I had no control over any of the outcomes that were going to happen in my life? I have a lot of control over my reactions to things. I have a lot of control over how I am going to respond to something. I do remember that years and years and years ago, I had a fallout with a friend of mine, and we both had a part in it. This is years ago. And I remember at the time, just like in my head being like, and this is what I'm going to say, and this is what I want to say, and this is what I want them to hear, and this is how they hurt me, and I really want them to understand that. And then it was like days, and I can remember talking to people about it, like being so upset about it, like I really, really want this person to know, like, how badly they hurt me, like, you know, but we had both done things, and I had done inventory over it and whatever, and so I can remember days turned into weeks, turned into months, and I literally didn't see them for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then we were just at something random, and we ran into them, and there I am face to face, and I'll never forget, they like pulled me aside and were like, I'm really, like, took a lot of responsibility and was like, I'm really sorry for like what happened at that. I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but I can remember that like everything that I scripted in my head was just lost in that minute. It wasn't important to me anymore. It didn't matter to me anymore. I had no emotional attachment to that person. The pain of not hearing from them, and I had reached out to them and tried to resolve the situation. The pain of not hearing from them, the pain of just distancing themselves from my life for all that time was like, at that point, I really, like, I saw them for who they were, in all honesty. And I just was kind of like, and I'd even moved past that, you know, and then they talk about the absence of love and hate is indifference. There was indifference. Like, I wished them the best. I had no emotional attachment to them at all anymore. And what I mean by having no emotional attachment is I have no love or no hate in my heart for you. I wish you the best, but I don't really feel like I know you at all. I don't know you to have a feel. I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody out there, but I don't know you. So, like, I don't know you anymore. It's like we spent a period of time, and I can look back on that period of time, and I can be happy about that period of time, but I don't have to relive it over and over again. And, you know, and I've learned that as we get older, you know, my best friend Tanya says, as we get older, the road narrows. I've learned that to be true. I've learned that people come in my life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I've learned that I probably came into other people's lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. That not every relationship, not every friendship, not every family relationship is going to last forever. If that happens to be the case, that's blessed luck, is how I look at it. But that's not the case. I don't have to look at that person who they are today and be like, they've changed. I don't know them. They're different. I've changed. People might not know me. You know, I love the song Both Sides Now, you know, by Joni Mitchell and Judy Collins. And she says, you know, friends look at me like I've changed. You know, I don't act the same. We all change as we get older. It's not an excuse to say I don't want to know somebody more, but maybe we don't know them anymore. But that doesn't mean that I can't still look back with admiration and love at the time that I did spend with them. But I remember that encounter, and they were going on and on and on about how sorry they were. And, you know, like, I'm sorry that I haven't reached out to you, and I'm sorry for what I did, and I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. What I realized was that it had really bothered them a lot, you know, but enough time had gone by, and I'll never forget, I was sitting there and just kind of was like overwhelmed, honestly, because I had this whole conversation a year and a half before, 2 years before, scripted in my head of what I was going to say. And I remember I just like reached over and touched their arm, and I said, it's fine. It's okay. We're good. We're good. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, we're good. I didn't want them to lose any more sleep over it. I think I've seen them once or twice since then. We like to say hi to each other. It's good. We had great times in the past. I don't have to sit and control every outcome and spin and whatever. And I did that for a long time. I've done that a lot this year. I've talked a lot on my vlog about my anxiety and whatever. And a big part of my anxiety is spinning in my head and spinning and spinning and spinning and outcomes and whatever. And I can't do that anymore. I'm wasting time. And like I said, The majority of the worst things that ever happened in my life that had the most profound effect on my life were things that I could never have even thought up in a million years. So why am I choosing to borrow trouble about things that might not even happen, or outcomes to relationships or conversations? You know, on the flip side of that, I've scripted conversations in my head, and when they say this and I'm going to say that, and the next day I'll talk to the person on the phone and they'll be like, I am so sorry we got in this argument. I'm like, I am too, and I don't want to fight. And they're like, we don't want to fight either. You know, and I'm like, well, I'll just watch what I say next time. And I didn't even need to script the conversation in my head. And I literally, my mom and I used to do that. Oh my God, I used to do that with my mom, and I didn't even tell her I scripted it. She'd say I did the same thing. And it's like I wasted hours laying awake, stressed out about stuff that never even happened. My old sponsor used to say to me, 90% of the things that you worry about don't even ever happen. I'm wasting time worrying about things, I'm wasting time trying to control outcomes that I have literally no control over. Scripting conversations that just hit the pause button, Hit the pause button and say, stop. Not doing this anymore. We're not doing this today, So, good thinking for today. We'll go into this weekend thinking about that. We're not going to spiral. It's not to say that tomorrow we're going to be able to stop that behavior. You think next week I'm not going to be trying to control outcomes 6 months from now, or planning things, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm still going to do that. But in that moment, the tool that I have is I envision a huge pause button in the sky, right? And I hit this pause button, and then for that moment, I can just take a deep breath, and then I can go through and remind myself, what good is this doing you? This is how people ask me all the time, like, the tools you use. This is what I do. I pause in a moment while I'm spiraling, and I say, what good is this going to do you tomorrow? Are you honestly going to be able to control the outcome? No. Is the conversation probably going to go the way that you're scripting it? Absolutely not. What is the point in doing this? I don't know. Maybe I just want to stress myself out. And sometimes I do. But most of the time I don't. And the more we practice something, the better we get at it. So it's not going to stop and change the first time you do it. Maybe not even the 100th time. But eventually, the more that we hit that pause button, and the more that we try to stop ourselves from that spiraling thinking, the better that we're going to get with it. It's the better I've gotten with it. Anyway, let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I hope you guys have a fantastic beginning to your weekend. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.